Good morning and welcome back to Primal. Hope you're all doing really well. Today we're going to cover a topic I first posted about a year and a half ago, and that is the fundamentals of breathing. All I'm hoping to do with this short blog is to tell you a simple method to work on changing an inverted breathing pattern. What's an inverted breathing pattern? It's very, very common, and it's something I see in pretty much 95 to 98% of my clients. And that is when we take a deep breath, rather than breathing into the belly, or diaphragm breathing as it's also known, we tend to breathe into the upper chest. A great way to correct this if you don't want to do specific exercises are meditation, Tai Chi, Qigong, also yoga or meditation forms of yoga. And if you want to be more specific, Buteyko. I haven't done Buteyko myself, however, clients I treat have done Buteyko. I must say though, when they come to see me, quite often their breathing pattern is still irregular due to pain or discomfort or ingrained issues. There will be issues within my own breathing. I've just finished a workout and I actually have underformed maxilla, which will always lean me towards mouth breathing. So I work constantly at trying to correct that. Mouth breathing is breathing through the mouth, and you may find that I do that when I do some of my talks. However, when necessary and when I'm doing Tai Chi and when I'm doing Qigong, which I've studied for 5 years, I will try to be relaxed. I will always breathe through my nose, and if you can do these exercises, breathe through your nose, as it will tend to give you a better experience and a better breathing pattern. So with that said, what is an inverted breathing pattern? Well, this is what I commonly see when someone comes to visit me in my clinic. If someone is asked to take a deep breath, they will often go and breathe up into the chest, sucking the tummy in. This will cause increased tension in the accessory muscles of the neck. This will pull the head forward. So if you're already suffering with neck problems or any kind of breathing condition, this will exacerbate your symptoms. So what we want to do is we want to be looking at breathing down into the belly. How we can do that is a technique that was taught to me by my singing instructor many years ago, about 10 years ago. And that's to breathe down into the belly by filling the lungs first. Now when I show you this will be in a forced manner, and obviously when you're doing the exercises you want to be as relaxed as possible. So what you want to do is you want to visualise breathing into your lower ribs first, filling up the lower ribs and then filling up through the chest. So for instance, like so. And what you'll see there is there's a lot of movement in my lower abdomen, but there's not much movement in my chest. So you can look at that yourself. Again, if I show you from this side, breathe in. There's my belly coming out. And breathe out. Now the more relaxed you become, now I am breathing there with an element of tension in my shoulders, obviously because I'm demonstrating a technique. The more you do it, the more you want to relax. As I say, if you get any kind of lightheadedness, you want to take a seat. That can be a hyperventilation. It can also be due to postural tension, and as you're breathing, that tension is getting worse and restricting some of the blood flow to the head. So always do this seated to start with, or with someone nearby, or somewhere where you can sit down or lean down if you get a bit lightheaded. But always stop if that happens. If you have any chronic conditions with breathing, such as asthma, any other chronic obstruction disorders, then make sure you see a GP or a physician, get clearance, or go to a more qualified specialist to work with your breathing mechanism. There are conditions which will cause you to lean towards what we call mouth breathing, which I do a little bit of myself, which is dropping the head forward, breathing through the mouth. Anyone who's got an formed facial structure, which are usually people who have suffered from malnutrition when in utero. I actually have a slight maxilla deformity, my holistic dentist pointed that out. So I do tend to lean towards mouth breathing if I'm not thinking about my technique, which is why this is so important for me. Also, if you do work which affects your posture quite severely, so anyone who's sitting all day, anyone who's highly stressed, anyone who uses their arms up high a lot, will tend to suffer with a lot of tension around the neck, will often get postural change, which causes them to constrict or compact the rib cage, which will affect your breathing mechanism, because if this has got nowhere to go, you're not going to tend to want to breathe into your belly. You're going to force an upper breath. That upper movement should only really occur in the last third of our breath. So for instance, if I show you, if I can get relaxed enough, 2/3, last third, and I'll do that in one breath. And you could hear that last bit going in at the end of the breath. That is more what we should be using when we an exercise, when we're forcing our breath and so on. So a lot of people are breathing there all the time. This is not good and will cause a lot of issues within the neck. So to recap, what we want to be doing is we want to be thinking about breathing down into the lower ribs. Visualize the air coming down into the lower ribs, opening the lower ribs. Let your belly come out and then gently fill up the chest as so. And as I mentioned before, this is not a perfect breathing mechanism. However, for most of my clients who aren't seeking perfection, they just want to have some improvement in their general health, well-being and lifestyle. This I find to be fantastic, especially those suffering with high levels of stress, those suffering with asthma and smokers. Be aware that it's very, very important that you are sensible, that you take your time. If you can do 5 minutes a day, and just sit down in a darkened room and gently work on your breathing mechanism, by all means do that. I think it will help you phenomenally. The feedback I've had from my last post was very encouraging and very good, and it seems a lot of people, it's helped them tremendously. So look after yourselves. I hope that helps. If you need any further information, then by all means send me a message below. However, that should be enough just for you to work on your mechanism and get breathing well and get that fundamental of health stable and working in your body. Look after yourselves, take care, and be primal.